Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. We've got a very special, very important sponsored video, and this is sponsored by the developers of Fault Elder Orb, and that's Strange Matter Studios. So shout out to Strange Matter Studios for sponsoring this video. This particular game is really interesting because not a lot of games like this exist. This is a third-person MOBA game. Now, I know a lot of you out there, you've probably played MOBA games in the past, whether or not it's been on mobile, on console, on PC, but the extent of movement is something to point out. And there's a lot of things we need to kind of like go over and point out in this particular video, and especially from a point where you can aim up and down and jump and fly with certain heroes. It is pretty cool. It's pretty straightforward to get the grips of very early on, but I would say you do need about 3 to 4 like kind of good matches for the length of time that it goes on in order to kind of really get the grips of the game. Whether or not it's a case you're like buying some of the items, like you earn coins by defeating some of the minions, and also, you know, from defeating the bosses you get like improvements. There's loads of other different improvements. By pressing the control button you can improve some of your base level abilities, which I thought that was pretty cool. We're just going over some of the tutorial on screen right now before it gets into my first game, where I kind of just didn't know what I was doing, to the second game where I had a lot of fun and got a really nice kind of like win as a result. But there's a lot of things to unpack with this, and especially to break down at the same time. So you'll have your minions, which you can see on screen. This is from the tutorial that you're kind of like fighting off against in order to kind of defeat. And you can go back to your kind of like your home base. You'll kind of like teleport back to your base and then kind of like get health. So that's an option for you. Or, you know, you can get wiped out by enemies and then respawn back in. You can put special kind of visual totems, which are able to see when enemies are coming, or kind of like alert you, kind of like alarms and that kind of stuff as to like what is going on. Character wise, there's a lot of characters to choose. This is actually, I think this is going into my first game. Yes, this is my first game, and again, like just trying to like find out like what is the best way to go about is how to kind of play this character. I didn't actually enjoy that much. I think that there's kind of like a few other characters that you know, it's kind of cool to see, like, I don't know, a character dual wielding pistols, but at the same time, like as I progressed on, I think I didn't enjoy using this character because I made mistakes in the first bit, which I do want to point out, like making these mistakes. So the first mistake is really buying stuff. Like I didn't really kind of like, you know, follow a scheme of buying things from the shop, and that's the good thing about this this particular game, and also stuff that kind of like can be seen as a bit more complex. And I think that as you go on, you might kind of like enjoy that level of complexity, as to say, okay, well, you know, the more you go on, the more kind of you understand about you know, going to the shop and buying something, and that kind of like, well, for me, I'm more of a kind of like aggressive player, so I like to just kind of like just get on with like getting into the fight and fighting aggressively, and that's just the thing of kind of like that's just how I am. And then trying to go into the second match with I think it's Miriam, I think I used, which we'll have a look in a moment when it goes over to it. I kind of like felt a bit more kind of tactical, but at the same time focus more on my spending in the shop and kind of improving things. Also, I tunnel visioned a lot, which you can see right here. I'm tunnel visioning now to kind of go towards kind of like trying to defeat this this enemy kind of like person, as it were. And it's just a case of like, you shouldn't really tunnel vision, and you should really kind of you know, wait till there's kind of like an ally about in order to assist and kind of like take down. But instead I'm like, oh, I want to just defeat some of these enemies, not any of the minions, and leave any kind of base defense. That's not really the kind of way to go. And it's not cooperative, because that is the PvP gets unlocked at level 5. That's kind of like something that you kind of like learn very quickly. Like it's all about that. Also, not using a lot of the kind of like ult attacks, which you can see that I was just like using just one standard attack and then trying to throw in my my grenade with the character. I'm like, yeah, it just doesn't work with that. A few things to know. Look, it's well put together. There's great like great artwork, there's great graphics, the maps look cool. Also, maps change up, so you're not ever fighting in the same type of map. They do look different as they go on, which is good. It's nice to have like a change up of map. It just kind of spices things up from an interest point of view. Other things to note with the game, because you know, there's things that are important, like you choose your heroes, select your playstyle with many variations of heroes, from massive hammer wielding soul collector to a space mage with control over interdimensional portals. Yes, you heard it first. And when we might see that a little bit of that in action in a moment when I kind of like I've got up against an enemy and he just portal away. So there's loads of abilities being made here. Play games to unlock more heroes to add to your collection and master the battlefield of Fault. And I definitely kind of like with this particular character, I didn't really master Fault. Also, the length of time the battle does go on, and this by the way, this is going to result in a loss, but it's kind of like sped along a little bit for this stuff. There's a lot of like needed movement, and you will find yourself kind of going a lot to the bases. The map doesn't feel super big, but it does feel like a little bit big when you're trying to kind of like get halfway there, and you're like, okay, well, oh, I need a bit more speed. You can get, I think, it's some speed boost here or there, but yeah, like you see, I've just kind of like arrived right here to kind of like this area, and I'm already just like not doing too well. And unfortunately, I think that's us kind of like that's that loss there for our base defeated very, very quickly. As I said, like you can see, I didn't perform particularly well. I didn't buy anything with the store, and that was one of the big things right there. That just wasn't. That was a bit of a mistake that I didn't really kind of power up my hero. Muriel, sorry, not Miriam. Muriel is the next kind of like character that I used, which I was like, this looks pretty cool. I like the way it's kind of like a space-looking character, and it just functions in a very kind of like cool way. Good movement and stuff like that, and especially kind of understanding like what who else is bringing in what else and where we're going to be going. Load-in is pretty simple, it's pretty quick, it's pretty efficient, and I still would say, because the game is in early access, that there's still some work to do, especially with kind of like damage that you're taking and stuff like that. And also that opening screen there, I should have really chose something a bit different with these particular abilities, which you can kind of ramp up, and you can do these kind of little the kind of the skill abilities, that is, you can ramp them up very kind of like quickly, and especially as you progress on and kind of like do more damage and stuff like that, it becomes more enjoyable. So just to kind of like point out some more things with the game, it's a unique gameplay element that separates Fault from other MOBAs is the introduction of a feast system, which allows a player to gain strength by achieving milestones during a match. So you kind of feel like you're kind of like building up to something. And I kind of felt like I was doing more with Muriel than I was, even though I just been killed for this particular during this particular shot. It didn't really deter me. I kind of felt like I was doing more damage than I was with the previous one. Because you're doing a lot of free aiming, I actually in this one changed my mouse sensitivity. Because I'm playing on keyboard and mouse, I believe you can play on controller, and like like the control side of things is and I don't know if this is created like an Xbox type game. I thought it said Xbox in some of the control patterns and things you could control, but if not, then you know, it's absolutely fine. It's really cool. So you can put like when caps lock with a, I don't know if it's whatever it's on other devices, you can literally kind of like press what is it, caps lock, and then you auto move on things, which I think is like it's great. So we're getting involved now. We're trying to kind of like help out our ally because like, you know, it's going relatively well. I think we're just gonna about smack him. There we go. That felt good. It's like I've not had with the previous game kind of like rocked me with kind of performance and things. So this time I wanted to kind of at least kind of do better. This is just a standard hits right here. I'm not using any of the other attacks because it does just use one there, but the mana cost is something as well. I'm like looking to kind of like save that. And also want to take down towers. That's obviously the next thing with any kind of like MOBA game. It's taking down tower defenses, and kind of like progressing on through. I've skipped through a lot of this, although we skipped through a lot of this because I think it was like a 14-minute game with this kind of like 40-minute win, which you know, is fine. I just obviously anything's going to take as long time as it is because of, you know, it is what it is. But you know, that's going to be something I think I would have liked to like quickening of pace. But I guess then in some cases you do need to come back from what would be a potential defeat in order to kind of, you know, achieve greatness. So adapt and evolve. Fault has many unique items to choose from that can sway the flow of battle. Collect gold from minions and hero kills, and build your hero to handle any situation. That's one of the taglines on the website. And as I said, links in the description to this particular game. It's available on Steam and is available I think through the Epic Store, and it's free. It's for free at the moment, so go and check it out whilst it's still there. And yeah, it was interesting, a different kind of like dynamic, especially from what you see from a kind of a third person perspective, because a lot of the time I'm more used to like top down ones, and there are kind of like MOBA FPSs and stuff like that. I got ganged up on that one. That was not particularly nice. Yeah, there's MOBA first-person shooters out there. And this is kind of like similar, but there's a lot more to this that meets the eye, especially when we're considering what we've just seen there. I think the only thing is that as soon as you get sadly kind of like knocked down, it's the length of time to come back is. It is what it is. You mean you don't want to die all the time. You don't want to be knocked down. You don't want to be kind of like waiting to reset. But and maybe I should be kind of like teleporting back to my base in order to kind of recover. But in the heat of battle, and especially when you've got like an ally there, you want to try and do as best you can to kind of like assist. And obviously I'm going to kind of get in a bit aggressive here. I like this character because I seem to like root in some kind of way, root or disarm, which I think is cool. And there, like, I need to be a bit careful when I put down my kind of alliance shielding, because that ally shielding is good, but it's not going to help like when I put it on top of the kind of like the enemy hero. Isn't that looking like? Yeah, you need to be a bit aggressive here. Like, I really want to get this enemy down, but at the same time I want to protect my minions, but also protect. So there, I'm trying to like put like the shielding right there. Not the greatest kind of like positioning for that one, but we're going to try and chase him down. But I think I actually ended up getting like knocked out then. We're back in it again and just kind of preparing to kind of go into the next fight, and especially as we kind of see out this battle, which is like the 11th minute of it, and you're going to see some like flash forward to like the 30-minute, 40-minute mark. It's definitely kind of like it's a fun game. Like as I said, like, MOBAs aren't really my thing, but as I've been kind of playing this, and I played for like 2-3 hours, it's definitely interesting enough to capture my kind of interest. It reminds me a little bit of kind of playing a little bit of certain modes in World of Warcraft, but except it feels like there's more emphasis on the heroes, and they're a bit cool. That was a portal one there. So you just saw on screen the portal, so jumping between these different portals. So yeah, really cool. And as well, putting the shield, just trying to like as I progress through, is like putting the shield down at the right time, keeping good distance, being a bit more of the like support, kind of like, support and distance. Except for like that portal distance there, kind of close to the distance between me escaping or kind of like retiring back to kind of like a safer position. And in this moment here, where you kind of like you're resetting to try and go back in, I normally kind of like spend time to purchase some of the things in the store. And again, this is all about progressing on, improving skills and abilities of your hero, and as well trying to improve some of just like your attacking prowess. And we're back in again. Right at the beginning, you can use these kind of like speed boost flying kind of elements here to kind of get you kind of moving a bit quicker. I think a lot of MOBA games have that in order to get you quickly back into the battle, because you kind of feel like, oh, there's a long distance in order to go. And that's what we're doing. We're kind of pushing now, I think, up the centre. I kind of feel there should be there's good progress that can be made up the centre. Although an ally has made good progress up the right-hand side. Communication is something within the game that you can do. You can communicate with people, especially it's better when you come to PvP. Putting the shield down as best I can to try and help out my allies. But I'm taking damage, man. I am taking damage. I'm trying to keep distance from that one. That one comes back to haunt me a few times because that particular hero is really good. Also, I did make a mistake. I only realised towards the end that I could improve certain bits of my chosen. I think it was like chosen like abilities. They were kind of like part of the selecting a hero and the feast, I want to say. But in any case, like you just kind of improve those as you kind of go and you defeat more and stuff like that. You can see like it says like that 2 towards the bottom, and that was something I should have used very early on, but it was only towards the latter point that I kind of like found my own in this particular fight and things like that. Some weird thing is like there was you can get like high ground. So I'm trying best I can to kind of like fire on this guy or lady. I think it's the same kind of like similar type as me, I want to say. In any case, like I'm firing up now, trying to kind of like do stuff and kind of like got them down. And again, we're kind of like backing into it again. I'm trying to like play aggressively just to take out the other hero. I'm trying to get away from that tower as well, because that tower is going to be the my undoing. You can see we're pushing up the right hand side of the map, and things are going relatively well. It's just a case of like what happens on the left side, because I wanted to take this tower down. Just going to see if we can push up a little bit more. Then we go into the next kind of like last two sections of this particular video, which will be coming up in about a minute or two time. You'll see like a definite shift. Unfortunately, I was outnumbered and I was outgunned very, very quickly. I then kind of thought like, okay, well, let's kind of see where, as I was kind of resetting back in again and looking to improve some of my abilities, I was then thinking about, okay, well, why don't I instead go with like some ally heroes and we try and push aside. So that was kind of the next thing, is kind of thinking about the strategy side of things. And if you've got MOBA games, a lot of the time strategy is kind of like relatively important, especially as you kind of like dip between different areas. You pick up boosts and bonuses, which you can do for defeating some of the various different types of like the kind of like, not mini bosses, but there's kind of like not NPCs, well, kind of like NPCs, but they're kind of like ability of enemies, so to speak, to kind of like take down. And once you do that, you kind of like have a bit more of a bonus with it. Also, like as soon as we kind of like pushed on, and as I said, like what I was doing was we went up with two of the heroes, and I get focus fired right here, which ain't too great. Like I'm trying as best I can to kind of do some damage, and also like retiring back a little bit here. But this is going to be now a 3-on-1 situation, and it ain't good, especially because a rock comes from nowhere to absolutely decimate me, which wasn't too great. And the longer it's now on a longer reset time now for me, kind of like thinking about, okay, what am I doing, and how kind of like, you know, to see how the allies are getting on with it. But that pushing that right side is going to have to be the play, especially because we got the enemy core, which you can see in the top right, the enemy core, which is basically like the base. Enemy base, it's down to a low area, and I think it was good in some cases that they focus fired me, because the enemies focus fired me, they took away interest from my allies, and because of that they were able to take down more of the core down to a lower percentage. So now it's just a case of kind of going, okay, when I get back, which side am I going to push? What is going to be the best thing to do? And I think that's where the kind of like things got better with that one, and we go for the last final push. Sadly, I don't think I'm going to be alive for it, but I'm definitely going to be helping out as much as possible. And I'm on the right side at the moment, just thinking about like improving some last bits of my abilities. Going, okay, well, you know, let's kind of like improve. What should we improve? Well, we'll improve the one we have to really kind of improve the last one that's got available. I've also by this point used those little ability things in the bottom area to improve the abilities I pre-selected prior to going in, and we're moving up to the furthest right hand side. We're going to be a bit aggressive with this one. As I said, this is going to be the right push. We've got two with us, 3 heroes are pushing up the right side. This is the play. This is the moment. This is when you're going to find that this is the right thing to do. That's what I was talking about right here, like defeating these particular enemies give some bonuses, which I'm kind of looking to kind of like exploit and grab, and kind of like then kind of progress on. One more shot, there we go. And now I've got something that's going to gain attack speed and life steal, so we've got that blessing there, and picking up those is going to be relatively helpful to you depending on what you're doing. My 2 other heroes in front of me on my ally team had waited, so thank God for that one. We're going to do a big push. We're going to take out this particular hero right ahead of us, because, hey, again, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to smack him. Well, I'm taking damage quite rapidly, but, you know, I did my bit there, did my bit. There's also one that just came out of nowhere, which I was like, what? And then we just got that one down. Yeah, I don't know where it came from. Like, it must have just had like either a speed boost or was kind of like a flying, and it's just like a ground and pound attack. And yeah, like, we just gonna push on forward. As I said, I'm gonna be hit. I think this one is gonna knock me out. I want to get in the shielding for the allies, just to see if this can help out, especially to kind of like, I place it down so, you know, it helps them out. And again, mistake is that the enemy focus fires me, especially because now that enemy core is going to be defeated, and we are going to get the win. Fantastic job. Always good to see when these things come together. Yeah, very enjoyable. As I said, like as I got further down playing this game, I enjoyed it more, and I think that's great for the game. If you're interested in MOBA type games similar to this, then go and check out the link in the description down below. Thanks very much to the developer for sponsoring this video. I had a lot of fun playing the game, and definitely if it's early access, it doesn't seem like there's a huge amount of work to be done. It's in a good place. But yeah, thanks very much for watching this particular video, and I'll see you in the next one, whenever that'll be. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.